Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Everything with Millennials podcast. I'm Anthony, and this is a show where two millennials talk about whatever we want, and sometimes we screw this up. If you've been following me on Twitter, you saw yesterday I tweeted that we recorded the episode, and then I didn't record my vocals, so we're doing it again. And with me, as always, I've got Mick Martin. How's it going, Mick?
Welcome, everyone, to the Everything with Millennials podcast. If you'd like to sponsor us, throw some money maybe in the back of a cement mixer, and hopefully if they pave over my broken-ass neighborhood someday and, some money creeps out of the concrete, I'll pick it up.
Yes, the classic Mick Martin intro. I think I like it better when you threw the money in the air, because then the next week you found $5.
Yeah, that one worked, but I'm trying to come up with new stuff.
The cement one, I don't think will be very fruitful, even if they do it, because then how do we get the money?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
We need
see.
to buy a jackhammer, and then, I don't think
We just
there's
have
more.
to depend on fate and time. That's it. Just like everything else, man.
No, I'd
Fate
say
and
throw in the
time.
air. That's the best one.
Nah, I don't like to throw it in the air anymore. That's old. That's old shit, man. That's from the 90s.
Yeah.
We need to modernize.
I just want to say I appreciate you coming on again, doing this
What?
episode again, since that was my bad yesterday.
What did you do, Anthony? Tell the
Oh
people.
man, I so immediately after the episode we recorded, I played it back, and then I saw my mouth was moving, but no words were coming out, and you were still responding, and I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, you didn't get your own audio. You didn't
Yeah,
get your
so
own audio.
I had a crazy idea. I was gonna try to redub it over with my voice, or come up with something kind of creative to fix it. But no matter what I tried, it was so bad. But thank you for coming back on, and yeah, that's why the episode is one day late this week.
Yeah. I don't know. I have fun talking, so I
Yeah,
don't care.
it's always fun. You know what? This is not a chore. Like for me,
Yeah, no.
this episode, I was like, yes, we get to do it again.
Yeah, we get to talk about all this stuff again. It's fun.
Yeah, we can kind of go
Yeah.
more back and talk about. We're gonna basically. So this week's episode, of course, we'll talk about Loki. We'll kind of go through that stuff in the beginning. And for everyone's listening, there's timestamps wherever you're listening or watching to this, so you can kind of skip ahead of the spoilers if you haven't seen anything.
If you want to.
Yeah, but if not, you can listen
I
all the way
recommend
through.
being spoiled.
No,
Get spoiled.
no, no one wants to be spoiled.
Spoil
I'm not-
yourself.
I won't spoil anything for you, especially Black Widow. I know Mick hasn't seen that one yet.
No, goddamn right you won't spoil it,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Hopefully next week we get to talk about that. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna talk about
Yeah.
Loki. We'll skip over it if you want. Then we're gonna. This week's topic is religion, so we're gonna kind of go through some religion stories, and I don't know if anyone's noticed, but every week we kind of go back and forth. All the odd weeks are topics I kind of choose, and all the even weeks. So this is episode 6. This is a mix pick. We're talking about
picks.
religion. So we got
Talking
some
about
cool religion
religion.
stuff, and I've got some cool religion facts. But you want to start with, let's talk about Loki episode 5.
Well,
This is-
yeah, but it's a fun religion talk. It's not like
Oh
I
yeah,
wanna
yeah. We're not
preach
going to
at
get
people or
canceled.
whatever.
We've talked about this.
Uh,
Try not to get canceled. We're only 6 episodes
Yeah.
in.
yeah, right, yeah. The 4 people who watch will fucking
Hey man, it's
get together
going
and
up,
cancel
man.
us.
We're double digits. When we hit
Yeah.
the triple digits, we'll have like a spectacular episode. We're gonna have like Shania Twain again, and and the fireworks and
Definitely
everything.
doesn't go in the background. Yeah. Okay. What let's get into it. So let's talk about the new Loki.
Yeah,
The newest Loki episode and how
episode
awesome
5.
it was, and how there was a Thanos helicopter, and
Yeah.
how there was the living tribunal head,
Oh yeah,
and how there was what was the other stuff? There was a
yeah,
whole bunch
so-
of cool Easter eggs, right? And
Yeah,
you're
there was a
showing me
lot
them
of
all.
Easter eggs, but so
And I
yeah, the
am
episode was awesome
down.
because you had all the different variations of Loki. Like we had Kid Loki, we had OG Old Man Loki, Boastful Loki, and then probably everyone's favorite. So there's so many different names now. We've even Mick texted me earlier and he showed me a new one. So I was calling him Locodile. There's a
Locodile,
crocodile
yeah,
Loki,
or
but the
Croaky,
best one I
yeah.
like, Croaky. That was kind of my favorite
Croaky's
now.
pretty
Croaky,
cute, yeah.
that's
But
so good.
I like Locodile. I like Locodile.
I like
think your
both,
name
man.
is
They're
better.
so good.
Yeah, they're both pretty funny.
Marvel's like the only like company that
Croaky.
can make a character that's something crazy and everyone will love it. It's like we're gonna make a movie
the
with a tree and a
raccoon.
raccoon. It's like you're gonna
Yeah,
love it,
yeah.
and then we did love it. And then they'll do a crocodile Loki. You'll love that too. And then and even in
Yeah, they
this,
know. They sold their souls, eh? They have like a deal with Satan,
yeah,
I think, where they where they just make hit after hit, no matter how ridiculous the premise is.
exactly. They're probably just testing us. So it's like, what can we get away with this week?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
there's also Miss Minutes. It's like we're gonna have an animated clock, and I'm digging it. And there's theories that the clock is behind it all. Have you heard any of those theories?
The clock, like Miss
Miss
Minutes. Hold
Minutes
on, I don't recall this. Is that from Beauty
from
and
the
the Beast?
TVA. You know, she's the clock, the animated clock
Oh,
that kind
that
of
thing.
gives you all the
Oh, that
information.
thing.
Yeah, her
Okay.
name's Miss Minutes.
Okay, I thought there was like
Renslayer's
a
like
Miss
Miss Minutes.
Minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So people are saying that
Someone else
maybe she's
exists.
behind it all because like
Oh
whoever
yeah, she's got
created
to be associated with something, right? Because
yeah,
she's
because
watching them all the time, all
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, and the TVA
So
created Miss Minutes, right? At the beginning of time, because she has all the access to all the
presumably,
files. So maybe it's like, is she? She's like evil Jarvis or something.
is Ms. Minutes evil Jarvis? Is she Ultron? Is she Mephisto?
Yeah, it's always Mephisto.
Yeah,
But let's go through some of the kind of the Easter eggs we've got here. So I guess the first big notable one is the Thanos copter.
yeah,
He's
that's awesome.
Yeah, so Thanos had like a in the comics he had this like yellow
Hmm.
helicopter that had his
Hmm.
name on it.
It's fun to think
So
about.
it kind of looked like that. It's so
Yeah.
funny, like,
Every
and
time
that's
I see
funny
it,
that yeah,
it
this
is
this
very
episode was just
amusing.
littered with Easter eggs up the butt. Like they had that, they had the yellow jacket helmet on the ground
Thanos
as
sculptor.
yeah, the Thanos copter. Of course, Mjolnir while they were going down into the secret bunker, and then also
Hmm.
beside Mjolnir, we also had Throg, which was
Throg. Yeah,
the
that's right.
frog
Yeah.
Thor, and that was awesome
Yeah,
that he's
and
in
and
there.
he's trapped in a jar that reminds me a little bit of you know when I first saw this, and I didn't mention this in the last podcast, so I'm glad we did this again. Do you remember when Thor fell from the he was in the Hulk prison and he fell from the aircraft carrier or
Was this
the
in the
helicarrier in Avengers 1? Remember he gets in a fight with Hulk, right?
yeah?
And he, whips the hammer down and smacks him and whatever, and he ends up going to try to find Loki and there's a fly. And yeah, he ends up in that stupid prison and then he falls,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah.
My first thought was like, oh, is this a reality where Thor's thing where he never got out of it, where it just went thunk and it got stuck in the ground and then like years went by
Oh,
and dirt piled up around it? Because
that's good.
I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on, right, the first time I saw it, and I didn't want to rewind it because I just kind of like to watch the show through sometimes.
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah, that's what I do try. I like go through it and I pick everything apart. And usually it's just Easter
Mm.
eggs or callbacks to stuff, but people like to like kind of connect it together and try to make it make a lot more sense than they probably intended.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So another Easter egg. This is not a Marvel Easter egg, but it's kind of a 80s 90s throwback Easter egg. They had the Polybius video game arcade machine in the back. So for people who don't know, Polybius was like a video game in an arcade in the 80s and 90s that people swear existed and that they've seen. And the video game was kind of like a government machine that would like kind of implant thoughts and ideas into your mind because they were trying to like kind of recruit people into the army and might kind of make their own super soldiers by putting these ideas in your head through the video game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were saying that before. Like, I'd never heard of Polybius, right? So,
Yeah.
when you said that, I was like, oh, was this real? Was this like
Yeah. And
Co-Intel
that's
Pro?
it's a
Like,
real thing. It's kind of like a conspiracy or like kind of a
yeah,
Mandela effect thing because no one can
yeah.
prove that that actually existed, but there's thousands of people that swear that it actually did. So that was kind of cool to have in there just as an Easter egg.
That's so
Also,
weird. Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I could have swore, but there's a lot of stuff where they show like since then I looked at some Mandela effect stuff back to back, right?
Hmm.
And if you take a look at like what's his name, the Monopoly Man running, and then the Monopoly
Yeah.
Man running with a monocle,
Hmm.
I would have told you the one with the monocle is the one. But
Yeah.
apparently, it's always just been the Monopoly Man running.
And that's why it's like
What the
that's why
fudge?
it's one of those things that's in the Mandela effect because it's things that most people swear that it was one way and it's actually the other. Just like the
What
Bernstein
is that?
Bears. and it's actually Bernstein, and everyone's like,
No,
no.
I know, yeah. But I mean, like, we call it the Mandela effect, which I think is a silly name because what the
Because
fuck does it have to do with Nelson Mandela?
no, it's because
The Mandela
everyone.
effect is ending apartheid. That's
Oh
the
yeah, but no,
Mandela
but it's
effect.
called the Mandela
Like,
effect
that was his effect.
because
You
it was
know,
the
like
one.
inspiring millions of people. That's the fucking Mandela effect, the actual Mandela
No,
effect.
because you know how I don't even know what the real thing now is because he either did or didn't die in jail. What's the real one?
Mandela did not die in jail. He became president.
See, look, see, no, see, okay, I'm not, but it's the Mandela effect because it's one of the first things that people thought. It was actually something about Mandela that did or didn't happen. I can't remember which it
Oh,
was.
people thought Mandela died in jail. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
something like that.
I was not aware of this. I didn't know
Yeah,
that
so
people
a lot
thought
of people
Mandela
thought
died in jail. Okay, so
one
that's
thing, and that's why it became
but
the
that's
Mandela effect
ridiculous
because that was the
still.
most famous thing that
Sort of
everyone
example
thought.
of it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
I still don't like it being called the Mandela effect because I feel like it takes away from the great Nelson Mandela who did good stuff.
Yeah.
Although, solving poverty in South Africa, he didn't do that. Anyway.
Okay, and I
Um,
guess here's the last Easter egg I'll show you. I haven't talked to you about this one yet, but this is a shot from the Avengers Tower in that episode, and you can actually see on the Avengers Tower it doesn't say Stark; it actually says Qeng, which is Kang. So it's kind of like an Easter egg to Kang the Conqueror, and so like in the
Kang
comics, like
Tech.
yeah, exactly, it's his
Man,
Kang
I made a post on
Industries.
Reddit back when I used to post on Reddit
Yeah.
about how Tony Stark and Nebula, if they both thought they were going to die, right? And you remember how they were hanging out in Infinity War and they're kicking the
Yeah,
little piece of
they were
paper
playing.
through the thing?
That was
Yeah, they were
awesome. Yeah.
playing together, right? Well, Tony Stark's a horny drunk. And you add like a bottle of whiskey
Oh
to
my
that
god.
scenario, you know what I mean? And like a pretty naive young robot woman, you could end up a few hundred years later with Kang the Conqueror.
People are like,
It's
listen,
like
Nebula, is everything metal?
I
Can I make a few modifications? We could pass the
bet you
time
could.
somehow.
Look. I'm just saying, if Nebula and Tony Stark had a baby and Nebula never told him about it, that baby would be blue looking. It would look just like Kang. And it
Oh
would
my
have the Tony
god.
Stark brain. You know what I mean? And it would have the Nebula fighting ferocity.
Yeah.
Like that is something that could take over the goddamn time stream, I think.
Yeah. Oh man, that's another theory to add to the
Word.
Loki kind of list. I've talked
That's
to you
your old
about
Mick Martin theory.
yeah, I've talked to you
Oh,
about this
Richard.
my other theory that I brought to you yesterday, but it's the how like you know how everyone's kind of upset about they're calling it the self cest because it's kind of like incest because like they're kind of
Self-cessed.
they're
Yeah,
getting
that's
close to each
hilarious.
other, and I
I
think
think I think that they should masturbate with each other. And it's just
I think Disney
masturbation.
would not go there unless in the end everything would turn out okay, you know, like I have basically my theory is that Loki and Loki and
I don't know.
Sylvie
I
are
don't
not.
think it's gonna turn out okay if they hook up and
I
you're
think they're
like
not. I think
firmly
they're going to
against
end up
that.
not related,
That's
no matter what.
oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Like
you
you're
think
going to
that they're
find
gonna
out that their
that
parents
she's
they don't have the
actually
same
Enchantress or
parents.
something. Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then it's going to end up okay because like you're getting those creepy vibes now, but Disney I don't think would go there
So wait a
unless
minute. Are you saying that she's gonna be the daughter of like Odin and Frigga? Because if
yeah.
that's the case, then that's a
Yeah. No,
stepsister, and
I
that's
remember
still gross
that's what I thought. That's what I originally said because we know that
because you're gross. Because you're a gross
Loki
man is why
is
you said that.
actually a frost giant, right? Because he's but Sylvie, her last name is Laufeyson, right? Which is the frost giant,
Yeah, that's right.
and that's why that proved my theory wrong that Sylvie's actually Odin and Frigga's daughter.
I
But
enjoy being right.
yeah, but I think somehow, like I just think
You
somehow they're gonna
sicko.
make it so they're not related and they can kind of be together. You know, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm calling that one now. It's
I
Disney's not gonna go
mean,
there. They're not old Disney.
yeah, they're not
This is
old
new
Disney. They're
Disney.
gonna make her Sylvie Admora the Enchantress, right? Because Admora's
Yeah,
Amora.
yeah.
That's her
But
name.
wasn't
Amora.
Hela technically
When
kind of
the
in?
moon hits your eye, she's
She's a
gonna be
Mora.
she's gonna be Amora, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Like all like what Disney does, like because
so that they
Hela
can
was
hook
kind
up.
of like an amalgam, and she was kind of Enchantress as well, right?
Yeah. So that's what I think they're going to do with that. They may not, but if they did do that, because Enchantress's whole deal is trying to like ensorcel Thor, and like get him to like go bad for the sake of hooking up with her or whatever. Like, if you go bad guy, you can hook up with me. I'm a good looking chick. Blah, blah, blah. Like that's her like dumb fucking gimmick. So
Yeah.
if it turns out that Sylvie is the Enchantress and then meets Thor and is like, I like Thor. Like I like Thor a lot better than I like
No.
Loki.
Well,
That
she
will give
knows.
Loki
She
and
technically
Thor
no.
a
She doesn't
good
know
reason to
Thor, eh?
fight. That's
Like,
exactly. She doesn't know him. Imagine
yeah.
she meets him and she's all like enraptured. She's like, ooh, he's look at his chisel dick or whatever. I don't know. And like, and Loki's like, no, like what about me? We saved the timeline together. Like we're cool. And she's like, fuck you. I gotta get a piece of
No.
that. Right?
No.
Yeah,
Sylvie's a
no,
cool chick. She
yes.
wouldn't do that to Loki.
I think she will. I think she will. I think that that's how that's the nature of male female relationships. No.
When it comes to Chris Hemsworth.
Well, yeah, well, shit, maybe. I mean, he's a movie star and he's like good looking or whatever, right?
You know what's gonna happen? He's just gonna get Kid Loki. If that ever happens, he'll just get Kid Loki and be like, "Can you kill this Thor too?"
Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
where I think Kid Loki got his wings from. When he killed his Thor, he got the wings on Kid Loki's
yeah,
account because he's got the wings that
right,
looks like
right.
they're Thor's.
Yeah, poor Thor. Good for Kid Loki
No,
for
oh, and okay, so
taking him out.
I was reading on Reddit about the Kid Loki killing Thor.
Yeah.
So back in Ragnarok, I think it was Thor was telling a story about how Loki transformed into a snake. And then Thor's like, I love snakes, so I went to pet the snake, right? And then, and then he turned back into Loki, and he tried to kill him when and this is a story he told, like when they were kids. So was that like the alternate timeline where it was kind of just
Where
a
he
prank gone wrong,
succeeded.
and yeah, and he succeeded in killing him by accident though, because this is
Yeah.
the story he tells
Yeah.
that when he was kids. So
Yeah.
it's like that
Yeah.
could have been
It might have been an accident. Yeah, he might have killed Thor by accident, but
yeah.
he might not have. He might have just been like, I'm killing Thor. Fuck him. You know?
That'd be
Like,
cool if
and
that
then he
tied
does
in
it.
that way.
Yeah. I
Everything
mean, he
will
fought
tie.
the entire Avengers. Loki fought the whole Avengers, right? He dealt with Thor, Hulk, Cap,
Yeah, yeah, but he had
Scarlett
aliens.
Johansson. Um,
He had the T'Chari.
he had the Chitauri.
Chitauri.
He had
Can't say that one.
Chitauri.
Chitauri.
Yeah, he had those aliens like pop in, right? He made them pop in for a bit, but that was his deal. I don't know, like I feel like they had the numbers on him. They had him in a helicarrier, and he got out and he brought a whole army to the Earth, and he took over that Schvelvig guy's
Oh yeah,
range.
Selvig.
Man, I ate a bit of chocolate. Okay, so last night my nephew and I watched the Conor McGregor fight. Okay, so I know this is total non sequitur, but I'm bringing this up because it's right in front of me and I got to bring it up. Fucking like you, we got Jack Astor's. Okay, we just ordered some in. All right, and it was pretty good. It was fine. Food was fine. It wasn't the same as being at a bar to watch a McGregor fight. McGregor losing like that. Ugh. But this chocolate cake they give you, okay? This fucking chocolate cake here. It's like somebody
Jack Astor's, yeah.
sweeped up stuff from the floor of a theater, of a movie theater, like sweeped up a bunch of garbage.
What do they call? What do they
from the
call it?
floor
What is
of a
that?
fucking
What is that
theater
cake?
And put it on top of a chocolate
Is it like a
cake. They call it
s'mores
chocolate
cake or something?
No,
It's
they
just
call
called
it
chocolate cake. They don't even
Yeah.
try to like disguise it and go with
Yeah,
oh, it's
and
moose tracks
it's
cake.
got, it's just trash. Like it sucked. I'm sorry, but it was not good. The rest of it was fine, and like I'm not saying I overpaid or whatever. I'm not shitting on Jack Astor's, except I am shitting on this cake, man. This cake, yeah, it was like floor sweepings from a kid's birthday party at a bowling alley. Like that was like what's on top of it. They've got like pieces of pretzel and little marshmallows from like cheap hot chocolate mix and like some candies randomly and some nuts. It's like floor sweepings.
Yep,
man.
that's probably what it is. You're
It's
probably not wrong.
trash. It
You're
was
not
gross.
wrong.
I was drunk and I ate one of them, And afterwards, I was like, what did they just do to me? You know what I mean? Whatever it is, I probably deserve it. But like, I'm just saying, those fucking things that they put on that cake are unnecessary and gross. Yeah. So anyway,
Fair
back to
enough.
goddamn Thor. Speaking of mischief, that sounds like something Loki would do. He would just like sprinkle. He would sprinkle floor sweepings from a theater onto your fucking.
Glorious currency.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, back. Well, where were we? We were talking about Loki. I can't goddamn remember.
All right, let's transition now. Let's move over because we kind of uh, connect everything that we're talking about. So religion to Loki. Let's move into the stories that we've got this week concerning religion. So the first one is the Tomorrow Gods. What is the future of religion? You want to talk a bit about this, Nick?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So this article was just talking about some of the, the different directions that religion in the world could go in the future, right? It says, we take it for granted that religions are born, grow, and die, but we're sort of oddly blind to that reality, right? And religions grow and evolve and change, and they become based on all sorts of different things. Like it'll be interesting to see if in 2,000 years they can't really make movies anymore for some dumb reason, and they worship, deities that they see in our films or something like that, right? I mean, who the hell knows how it's going to go? But
Yeah,
like the old Norse religion, it's making a comeback. And I don't know if it's making a comeback because of Loki and Thor and movies and stuff like that, but it is making a comeback, and I bet you that doesn't hurt. Um, like a lot of these old, we make movies about Hercules, we make movies about old Greek gods and all sorts of different things, and I think that there's a lot of sort of reverting back to traditional worship these days because churches and church communities are kind of falling apart. Like they're not as strong and stable as they once were, and so people kind of form. Their creative curiosity leads them to different places, and they become pagan, or they start praying to the Norse gods, or they start. Um,
so you're saying like some religions are looking cooler to some people nowadays versus like the one they currently have.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Like I guess the main target would be Christianity because that's the most widespread religion. So on the planet there's 2.1 billion Christians, and then of those Christians there's 34,000 like different denominations of Christianity. So there's a lot of damn Christians. So I guess that's the main one they're trying to target. So is that why they're making like movies like The Passion of the Christ, trying to make like Jesus cool, keep them in?
Well, yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mention that because South Park has been using Jesus like as a legit, like as a full-on character in the show,
Yeah,
action
I've seen
hero
that.
character, right? Like shooting people and rescuing Santa from terrorists or like government agents or whatever. And yeah, yeah. So I mean, I guess we always play with religion a little bit, right? Like pop culture seems to be able to play with certain religions a little bit freely in especially in the West, and I think it's really awesome actually
Yeah.
to get to take all these great old myths and ideas and stories from you know days gone by and then put them on the big screen or write books about them or comics about them. I think that it's
Yeah.
really fun, fascinating. Some people
But
think of it as maybe cultural appropriation, and
yeah,
depending
or
on the way
some would
it's
say it's
done,
like blasphemy, right? If you do
yeah,
it
some would
wrong.
say it's full on blasphemy.
Yeah,
Some would say it's
and that's
heathenism.
yeah,
Um,
it's a fine
and
line to try to make,
uh,
I guess, show off your religion, but also not kind of piss off your religion at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
then just
because people, it means something to people and
yeah,
it's
no, for sure.
sacred to them. So
Yeah,
you got to be careful. But at the same time, when you're not careful, especially for a person like me who doesn't have a whole lot of, like super deep faith, really, I find stuff very, very funny. Like South Park, I find like
no, I'm not. Well, you probably
it
could
makes
tell
me laugh.
I'm
Yeah,
someone who doesn't take stuff super seriously, or well, I
yeah.
do, but I like to have a good time. So like I'm Christian, or Catholic, but I still like to. I don't know. I'm pretty open with what stuff people say about, or you're Catholic as well. So like when you watch South Park and you see Jesus on there, you don't get super offended. So you're sort of like me, where you're.
No, yeah, I don't
You,
care. Yeah,
but
yeah, I think it's awesome.
the really hard. You think it's awesome, see? But the hardcore like Catholics would be like, this is blasphemy and this is not
Yeah,
good
no,
or
I know,
whatever.
yeah.
But who's to
You're,
say that you can't
but
kind
the
of
hardcore
enjoy that
Catholics
and then
are,
also be Catholic? Like.
yeah. There's not a lot of hardcore Catholic. I mean, there is, I guess, but I think that it's
What
compared
about
to
your
what it
family?
used to be.
You're Irish. I guess
Yeah, I'm
you're
Irish.
Irish
Yeah,
and I'm Filipino. We're our families are
they're pretty Catholic.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
Catholic and pretty hardcore about it. Like when I was a kid, we used
yeah,
to go to church every Sunday, like without
yeah. Me
fail.
too. And I went
Yeah,
to I went to church every morning. Period, because I was an
every
altar
morning.
boy,
Wow. Oh,
and
you're
they
out to
did
boy.
a
Yeah.
little service. The priest did a service every single morning, like a small one, and I would altar boy at it. Um, and like I don't know, yeah, I did that stuff and whatever. Like I I still just don't. I don't see it as something you can't make fun of and have fun with. It's just and I feel like most Catholics, even hardcore ones, like are the ones that we would define as hardcore, who would like go to
Yeah.
church every Sunday and stuff like that. A lot of them have good senses of humor about this stuff.
Yeah. I feel
They
like
find it
most people
funny.
do, but there's some people that don't.
There's some people that don't, right?
Yeah.
You've got your people who really don't. But like my aunt, I have an aunt who's a nun, and I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if she's watched South Park, but
Oh
she watched. Oh, she did watch a little bit of it. She watched the Santa and Jesus um, singing a couple of different Christmas songs, and it's like a South Park thing. I showed that to her, and she laughed. She thought it was really funny. I
yeah.
don't, like if
I,
we went into the more vulgar stuff, she might
yeah.
not have found it
No,
funny. But
I got a kind of a cool, well, fact-ish story. My
yeah.
uncle was actually a priest, but he was
Oh well, there you go.
he was very much like me, where he was a joker. Like he'd always tell
Yeah.
jokes and stuff like that. Even though he was a priest, he would still like rip jokes left and right, and it was just awesome. He was like such a good priest. He would do his sermons, and I guess you see this a lot where priests will actually like tell jokes and stuff. His whole thing would be like stand up comedy, but he would still be telling you the message and everything, and it was awesome. I thought he was super cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was a priest.
Well,
Yeah,
they got the Catholic Church actually surprisingly, and Christianity in general has a long tradition of humor that people don't really
oh
know
yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah, but they used to put on these plays. You can Google this, where it would be people because people used to make jokes about how Mary gave birth to Jesus as a virgin,
hmm
right? And like how Joseph was basically cuckolded by God in a way. I mean, and there would priests would put on these plays where like Mary would be walking around and she would be like big chested, and God would be like, "Hey, can I get something for you?" And she's like, "Yeah, like I want some pears." And then God would just like grow a tree or like pick up a tree, put it beside her, and then put the pear down, and she would like eat it and be like, "No good." And everybody would laugh, right? Like at just how much Mary had God wrapped around her little finger, and like that was like a big theme in comedy for a long time, and it was considered like offensive and risky. And I think that even as I say it now, people probably be like, "Ooh, that's like really like mean or whatever." But when this stuff happened,
yeah,
it was just I think the world was obviously a very different place.
yeah,
And yeah, and that was the kind of comedy and the kind of laughs and jokes they got out of it. But it didn't impact their faith at all, really.
yeah,
I mean, they still went to church on Sundays. They still
yeah.
believed
Same.
in God pretty much exactly the same way. But they also had this big sense of humor about stuff. And it can be kind of hard to wrap your head around. But I guess if your life is sort of, like you're not working a 9 to 5 back in the day, really. You're just trying to survive and get around, feed yourself. It was a different world anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. So speaking of this kind of stuff, the next one was paganism, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, so
Or,
pagans, basically, paganism is making a comeback in the UK. I guess specifically, I think paganism is coming back around the world, but I guess this article come, especially because it's a UK site, focuses mostly on the UK. So uh, talking about how paganism is making its way back, I guess, right? So for
Hmm.
people who don't know, do you want to tell them what paganism is?
Yeah, well, paganism is, in this context anyway, it's pre-Christian religions in the UK and Europe, pretty much. Um, so it's like praying to like through druids, or having a shaman, or praying to Loki, or praying to Thor, or believing in Zeus or whatever else, right?
Yeah, so
The old
basically anything that's not the Christian religion is considered paganism, right?
sort of by some Christians, yeah, in a manner of speaking, yeah.
Yeah. So then,
Um,
like, is there
Depending
like
on.
some factors that is making paganism have a kind of comeback?
Well, yeah, I think we touched on it a little bit before, but just that the like religious, the way that religious community holds together has changed, right? The way that the sort of hold its
Yeah.
hat on large groups of people have changed, but people still have, like Cicero has this great quote, which is, um, "Nature has imprinted upon all the idea of God," right? Or nature herself has imprinted upon all the idea of a God. So, which is just to say that no matter where you're born, you have this like worship instinct, this like this sort of sense
Yeah.
that you need to participate in ceremonies and traditions and be part of something. No matter who you are, no matter where you are in the world, there is just this. You seem to be born with this innate sense, right?
Yeah.
Does,
And I
does that
think
make sense to
people,
you?
yeah, it makes sense because I think people in general, like, you don't want to be kind of, you want something to believe in, you know? You kind of need that. I think people need
A
something to
little
believe
bit,
in,
yeah.
whether it's whatever religion, you know? Like, they just need
Just
something to
as a
believe in.
function of being human,
Yeah.
yeah, you sort
And
of
I,
need
mhm. And I
something.
think
Yeah,
with all these different religions, like, people are different. Like, you can be born into a certain religion, but then you'll kind of see another religion that kind of maybe is more in tune with who you are, and that will kind of attract you. And that's why I think people kind of switch because they're, I guess most people are born into Christianity, right? Because that's the most uh, practiced religion. But then people will go into different types of religion because every person is different, right? And they'll see what they like and kind of just jump ship or switch.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. And it's sort of it's one of the great things about living, I think, in a free society where you can kind of bounce around from one religion to another if you feel like it.
Yeah, and I think
I think that
the
that's pretty cool.
the return of paganism is I guess religions, people are more switching, and with other things like you'll see there's lots of different kinds of diets and other things, and that's just not just religion. Like now
Oh
there's so many
yeah.
more diets than ever, right? And people will switch to them.
Yeah, and religions have a lot to do with local diets and local fashion, right? Local, like
Yep.
your standards of modesty in
Hmm.
the sort of community you live in usually are connected to whatever your religious practices are.
Yeah.
Well, in the West, I think, and I think also in a lot of in a lot of other places.
You know, I just found out recently that Amish is a religion. I didn't think that was a religion, and it is.
I thought they're Christians.
Um,
Are
I
they
looked up the.
pagans? Do they worship? Do
I'm
Amish
not sure what
worship
they do, but I know I looked up a whole bunch
the
of different
hawk?
religions, and Amish is actually a religion,
Set?
and they have kind of well, everyone knows that they kind of refuse modern technology, so that's part of their religion. That's one of
Yeah.
the things that they do.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, that they are not interested in modern conveniences and
Yeah,
stuff
but
like
they do
that,
have
and
that
kind of.
Rumspringa is called. It's
Well,
that one.
they're against industrialization, which
Yeah,
may yet prove to have been
but
a wise choice.
you know how the pagan like people are switching from like Christianity to some other religion. Uh, Amish have that Rumspringa where they can go out and experience other things, and if they come back, they come back. If they don't, they don't. You know that?
And I haven't heard of that. No, but that's
Yeah. So they
interesting.
have like when they're coming up. I don't know when is maybe when they turn 18. They're sent out into the world to experience everything that the world has, and if they come back, they come back. If they don't, they just stay. So it's kind of like that's switching a religion because Amish is a religion, and because like I said, like people are switching from Christianity to something else because it's more in tune with them, and So I guess that's the equivalent of
Yeah.
Rumspringa, right? So even the Amish will switch to something
Yeah,
different.
everybody has the opportunity, if they really want to sort of bounce around, or like
Yeah.
should have the opportunity to bounce around if depending on what your
Yeah.
heart um,
So
guides you towards,
speaking of
right?
like bouncing around to different religions, you want to know the top 10? I've got the top 10 of
Oh,
religions uh, based on how many people are in that religion. So number one
okay.
is Christian, 2.1 billion, like I said. Number two is Islam, 1.5 billion. Uh, number three, I kind of don't count, but on this list I found that they counted it called agnostic is 1.1 billion.
There's a
uh,
there's really a billion agnostics in the world.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
maybe that's the reason
like we were talking about this
paganism's on
before,
the
but you
rise.
said that kind of doesn't count because they just don't believe in nothing, right? Isn't that what
No,
agnostic
no,
is?
no, no, no,
That's
no.
atheist. Sorry,
Agnostic, yeah, atheists are
sorry.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, agnostics actually, they're just they're kind of like sluts. They're open to,
You
um,
had to say that while I was taking a drink.
they're open to every possibility. They're just
Okay.
waiting for convincing evidence.
I see.
Um, you know what I mean?
They're waiting in
So,
the sidelines until one of them wins. That's what you're saying, and the next one will take. That's what it
yeah.
sounded like from what you're telling me.
Agnostic is just like, well, maybe. I don't know. Shit.
Okay. So let's go.
I
I'll go
didn't
back
know there
to
was a billion agnostics. I wonder if I just offended half of them.
maybe.
Hopefully they're agnostic about this podcast.
No, they're
Anyway,
waiting to see how it all it all comes out first, and then they'll decide, right?
I mean, well, no, I'm pretty agnostic. You're pretty agnostic, man. Like if I don't know, dude, if Thor came back tomorrow, and your parents were
Team
like,
Thor.
we got to go to church, I would be like, well, okay, I'll go to church with you, but just for the record, Thor's over there. Like,
Yo, it's like yo, Chris Hemsworth is
it's
over there.
kind
I'm
of hard
down.
to, yeah, well, no. Like, I think honestly, Thor, if he came around the way he did in Marvel, Christianity would take a big hit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, especially in the Scandinavian areas.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. So
um,
back to the list. So number four is Hindu at 1 billion. Uh, Number five, Chinese traditional, 400 million. Buddhist, 380 million.
that's it.
Yep. Indigenous, 300 million.
What's that?
African at number eight, African traditional, 100 million. Number
Indigenous.
nine,
It sounds silly to lump. Like, are they lumping? Who are they
I don't know.
lumping
I'm not even
together in
100% sure.
indigenous?
This is just what it kind of said
All right.
for
Okay. All right.
religions. Number nine is Sikh with 25 million. I think I'm saying that right. Sikh or
Sheik.
Sikh? Sikh, Sikh.
Sikh.
I'm pretty
Sikh.
sure
Yeah.
it's Sikh.
Sikh. No, it's
25
Sikh.
million. And then
Definitely
number
not
10 is the
Sikh.
one I've never heard of and not sure to pronounce at 20 million is Juice, Juche, or Juk. You ever heard of that one?
Okay. Let's
I've never
just
heard of
keep
that one,
going.
but they have 20 million. And
Okay.
then, yeah, that's the top 10. And then there's, I think, was it 10,000 distinct religion groups in the world. So that's the top
Hmm.
10 of those 10,000. So I
Wow.
found that kind of
I
interesting.
mean, I wonder how they got these numbers, and what. Like, I wonder how. Like,
No, they just kind of, I guess,
they just
did
ask everybody in the world.
ask
Um.
everybody. Everybody gets an email. You just click one of the
Yeah.
things.
Okay. So yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I want to move on to the old Nordic religions coming back now. I want to
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about that.
Wait, before we go on to the next thing, I just got a whole
Oh,
bunch of. I was looking up the topic for the show, and I just found a whole bunch of facts that I thought were interesting. So I'll just kind of list these off.
brah. Fine. What? No.
Okay,
I want to
so
hear
you know,
it.
like the Wiccan religion,
Yeah.
and most people think that like Wiccan
Is it
religion is
Wiccan?
like an ancient religion, but it's actually not. It's actually like a religion that was like first like founded like in the 1950s. So
Really?
not as ancient as everyone thought. See. uh,
Okay.
oh,
Well, I
in,
mean, I
in
don't know.
in Catholicism, it's funny. They have patron saints for pretty much everything. So some ones that they have are they have a patron saint of bookkeeping. So that's Saint
Yep.
Ambrose. They have a patron saint of headaches, Saint Bibiana, and they also have
Oh,
a patron saint of coffee, Saint Drogo. So that would be my saint. That's the
Saint Drogo.
Saint Drogo. Saint of coffee. And speaking of coffee, so Mormons aren't allowed to drink
Oh.
tea, coffee, or alcohol, but they're allowed to drink like soda.
Uh, That is awesome. Yeah,
Um,
soda, tea and soda are enlightening drinks.
yeah. About 50 Bibles are sold every minute. So that's like it's a New York Times #1 bestseller. So it is, yeah, it's the best selling book on the planet.
Sold
So
or
yeah,
just like
it
distributed, right? Because people
sold.
give Bibles away for free
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, but someone's got
Yeah,
to buy
fair
them,
enough.
right?
But
So then there's
the fact of the matter is, if you read a Bible cover to cover, you are smarter for it. Like you're a more intelligent person for having done it.
when I was a kid, I've read the whole entire Bible. My parents
Yeah,
made me right from cover to cover. A lot of that didn't
and
make any sense,
yeah, right.
to
Like
be
a lot of it
honest.
won't make sense to you, right? But you will get a sense of like the English language, of sort of basic kinds of story, of ways of explaining lineage, even, or how like in a way how to ethically conduct business. Like there's a whole bunch of different
Yeah,
stuff that if you were to spend your life
yeah,
reading only one
that's
book, the
it
Bible
does.
is not bad.
It does have a lot of good stuff in it, but a lot
It's
of it to me didn't
pretty
make any
damn
sense.
good,
But when
actually.
I was a kid,
Yeah, a
but
lot of it went.
you spend a lot of time as a Catholic throughout your young years learning what everything means in there and the lessons. And there's a lot of good stuff. But you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. The Bible is the world's most shoplifted book.
Really?
I thought that was kind of funny
Jeez.
because of all the
That's
lessons that are in
really
it.
that's kind of messed up.
I guess it's a numbers thing,
Like,
right? If it's the most sold
you know
book,
what I
it's
mean?
got to be the most shoplifted book as well.
Yeah,
Just
I
numbers
guess.
alone, right?
But after
Billion
you
book.
steal it and see the penalty for crimes after reading it, anyway, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows what people are stealing these
All
things
right.
for?
So let's
And
move on
buying
to
them.
kind of the last article that we've got. The old Nordic religion, Asatro today.
Mm.
So
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So this is the comeback. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, um, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. All right. Modern believers in the old Nordic religion meet in the open air just as Vikings did. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So there are modern believers in old Nordic religions, and I presume they're very offended by Loki or very happy with it. Who
yeah,
knows?
so yeah, the old Nordic religions are basically the Norse gods. So basically, your Odin, your Thors, and all that kind of stuff is making a comeback, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is. A lot of it is making a comeback. People have found that for whatever reason, their other religion isn't doing it for them, or maybe they're born into it. I'm not really sure how it's going, but um,
Yeah.
there's a Nordic Religion Society in Denmark that was established in 1997. Oh, frig! I forgot about the statue.
No. Yeah. So we looked at this article together earlier, and I asked Mick
I'm
about this. I
looking
was
at it.
like, he was telling me about the Nordic religion comeback and everything, and I was perusing the article. And if you're watching this on YouTube, this will be hilarious. So we scroll down. I asked them, it's like, this is all about their religion and everything. And I scrolled down to this one picture here that you can see, and I was like, Mick, what's up with this totem pole? So what you're seeing is this totem pole. It has a guy's face on it, and it looks like he has what looks like to be a dick. But I was like,
Yeah,
Mick,
it looks like a big old penis,
I was like, is
like
this just a
and he
uh,
even looks like the kind of guy who would show off his like the way that the like eyeball kind of looks and the way he's like,
I'm like,
whoa, like
is this
he
a
looks
misplaced hanger?
like a freak. Yeah, and there's something like hanging off his thing, and like it's even got a little break in it. Like it's really.
It's got the head and
How do they
everything.
not like? Is this maybe that's what it's supposed to be? I don't know. Maybe that's how. Maybe that's how they draw, dude.
That's
You
just
know,
part of the
like.
religion, man. They get down.
It's
So yeah, the Nordic religion
something.
is making its comeback, and I guess it's
Yeah.
just like how paganism is making the comeback as well, right? It's not just in the UK. I guess it's a worldwide kind of phenomenon that religions are making their kind of comeback, or other religions that are not the top 10.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. So like, um, I, I just have to wonder where it's all gonna go, like where we're gonna end up in 10,000 years, which religions
You think
are gonna.
we're gonna, because some people have the theory that there's so many races, right? And everyone is gonna eventually, or yeah, I guess eventually do each other, right? So we're gonna come down to only less and less races. Do you think?
One
And
big
then
cosmic race.
yeah,
I
like
mean, I think
everyone
that
just
we're
becomes
already
there's no
that. I think that the human race
yeah
is just I think we're always going to have people who look different from other people and are lighter skinned or darker
Yeah.
skinned or have
Like
different sorts of
Canada
features, and
and the
that's
US is kind of a
just
good
how it is.
example of, especially Canada, melting pot, right? Like everyone comes here from different places and everyone's got kids of multinational like race,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, but it's to be honest, it's always been that way everywhere. Like there's always been,
Yeah. But in some
migration
places, it's
from.
really white. Or some places are really Chinese, like
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
or
true. Yeah,
really Indian. Like those like there's
it's
some
always
races
been that
like
way too.
I think
Yeah.
it's like India has like the top population on the planet. They're over a billion and then followed by China. And China used to be number 1 at
Yeah.
a billion. And
Yeah, but
yeah.
they actually implemented population control stuff that
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. In China, you
Um,
can't have more than one child, right?
I don't know if they still have the one child policy. I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Yeah, because
Um,
if you look at their population, it's over a billion, and then if you see like Canada's population is it's like what 200 million, something like that. If you look at Canada
mm,
on a map, you'll see how big Canada is, and this is if you're watching, you can see this is like 200 million people, and then you see China, and you go, this is China, and it has 1 billion people. It's like that's
yeah,
crazy.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Like
it's
person
a
per square
lot of
kilometer
damn
is
people.
nuts. It's like 4 or something just ridiculously high.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
So that's kind of
I don't know. You can't.
is that what's going to happen in
I
religion? It's
guess
going to are we
that's what
going to
industrialized life does, right? Like when we have there was a time when nature kind of kept our populations lower due to like plagues. Like when the population got too high in a particular area, usually something would very bad would happen, right? People would either starve or there'd be a plague or, but just human ingenuity has allowed us to sustain large numbers of people in places where that wouldn't be able to happen before. And thanks to medical care, we all live. So, human life is very precious, and I think we have to guard it and keep it safe. But we also need to have, I guess, less of us. I guess there needs to be less humans. Yeah.
So are we going to boil down religions? You think they'll what do you think? Do you think they'll boil down or like kind of how people's races are? Like will there be
Well,
less religions
I think
or
there's the
more?
Baha'i faith, which is like a mix of all kinds of faiths. I don't know. I think that the future just depends on what we decide to make it. Like, I think there's a real possibility that people sort of balkanize and get vicious,
Yeah.
and
I don't
we
think there'll be
destroy all the great
more
religions.
religions. If anything, I think there'll be more. And you know what? There's room for as many religions as they want to exist as long as they're all respectful of each other, right? And not trying to
Yeah,
bomb
that's
each other
right.
or
Yeah,
anything.
as long as people
Because
stay respectful, I
it's
think
like
we'll
you
have
do
lots and
you.
lots.
Because I
But
think in most religions, the kind of the point is a lot of the messaging is as like be good, right? And some
hmm,
mostly kind of stuff like that. And like no religion tells you to kind of take down another one, right? Or insult them,
we um
as far as I
well,
know.
let's not get into that. But uh,
I guess is that
we
just my
used to
eternal
say,
optimism kicking in?
"Live and let live." You know we did. You know we did. You know we did. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Um. So yeah, hopefully people don't live and let die. They live and let live. But
Yeah, live and let live. You do you, whatever makes you happy, and as humans, treat each other well.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's the point of like every show we talk about, right?
Yeah, like
No matter
treat
what it
each other
is,
well. Throw your money in a cement mixer. Let us have it. Vacuum it, and put it
do
in the
what you got to
trash.
do so you can keep watching Marvel TV shows and movies. So next week, hopefully you can get out and see Black Widow. I want you to
Yeah, I
see
will.
Black Widow
I
because I
will.
want to talk about. I want to
I'd
have.
really like to see it in the theaters, though.
I have
God.
so many points and theories on Black Widow. I hope you see it so we can talk about that.
Yeah, I just wish it could be in the theaters. Like, they,
Yeah.
they don't. A lot of them aren't open around where I'm at, so
Have you checked?
sucks
Because
because I would definitely go
Ontario
see it in the theaters.
next week is actually supposed to open up theaters to 50% capacity. So I don't know
Yeah.
what day that is.
Well, if they do that, I'm in.
Yeah, totally. Go see it. We'll talk about it and we'll have our review on it. I think we could have like a whole episode on that if we wanted to. And of course, next week we'll have uh, episode 6, the finale, the series finale of Loki. So we'll see if
Yeah, series finale
all
of
the
Loki.
things
Not
we're
of our
kind of
podcast. Our podcast will continue to the end of time.
No, yeah, we'll go to the end of time. We'll be in that castle. We'll see if what we were saying was right. See, yeah, no, we'll just see. We've had weeks of us talking about it, so we've had all our theories out there. So
we might as well
kind of
call it everything Loki with millennials.
Loki with
honestly, just change the name of the friggin' podcast to Loki with millennials. We'll probably get more hits. We'll probably get more interest, and the stuff we talk about is all tangentially related to Loki anyway.
Yeah. You know what? It's gonna be like.
And Loki's not copyrighted. He's owned by.
We'll be like Marvel with millennials. Ooh, that even sounds nice.
Actually, that does.
Yeah, next week we'll talk. Well, I guess we're gonna do more Loki. Hopefully, Mick will go see Black Widow. We'll talk Black Widow, and then we'll throw another subject in there, and we'll tie it all together.
Hopefully, I'll kill this fly that's been buzzing around me for this entire goddamn podcast.
Yeah, I saw you. You've been going around like this, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Like I'm trying to kill this fly. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, geez, it's 3. It's 20 after 3. The friggin' soccer game's already started.
Hey, don't worry.
Italy's playing.
We're wrapping up here, so you can catch the soccer game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so everybody, thanks for listening this week. As usual, I'm Anthony Element. I'm at the Essential Element on Twitter. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean. Review, do all the stuff. It helps us out.
Yeah, all that stuff helps us out. I'm Mick Martin. You can find me nowhere. You'll never find me.
And we will see you next week. Peace.